Hello everyone, and welcome back. If you thought Salem had already reached its emotional breaking point, the week of March 23 through March 27 may prove that the real damage is only beginning. Because this is not just a week of shocking spoilers. This is a week of consequences, painful, personal, and potentially life-changing consequences. What makes this preview so compelling is that every major storyline seems to revolve around one dangerous idea. When the truth starts closing in, people either fall apart, or make the boldest move of their lives. So let's break it all down, because this week may be one of the most emotionally explosive ones Salem has seen in a while. First, we have Rachel Black's hearing, and this may become one of the most emotionally devastating storylines of the entire week. What makes this scene so powerful is not just the legal outcome. It is Rachel's fear before the ruling even happens. The preview shows her clinging to Kristen's hand, hugging Marlena, and trying to hold herself together in a moment that clearly feels bigger than she can handle. That tells us this is not a rebellious child bracing for punishment. This is a frightened girl who knows her future is being decided by adults, institutions, and consequences she cannot control. Even if Rachel avoids juvenile detention, this still may not feel like a victory to her. If she is sent back to Bayview or another treatment facility, Rachel may not hear support or care. She may hear rejection. She may feel like the people around her have decided she is too unstable to stay home, too troubled to be trusted, and too broken to be handled within her own family. That emotional interpretation could matter even more than the ruling itself. Because for a child already dealing with fear and instability, being removed again could deepen the very emotional damage everyone is supposedly trying to treat. Instead of feeling protected, Rachel may feel abandoned. Instead of feeling guided, she may feel cast aside. And then there is Kristen, who could make this situation even worse without meaning to. If she lashes out in court or turns the hearing into a scene, the judge may see that as proof Rachel is trapped in an environment full of volatility and emotional disorder. So Kristen may think she is defending her daughter, but in reality, she may be reinforcing the exact concerns that work against Rachel. That is what makes this story so tragic. The courtroom may decide where Rachel goes next, but the deeper damage may come from how that decision reshapes the way she sees herself. Now let's move to what may be the most disturbing mystery of the week. Holly and Tate slowly realizing that Sophia may have engineered something far more sinister than anyone first imagined. This story becomes especially compelling because it is no longer just about strange behavior. It is about deliberate manipulation. Tate helping Holly investigate already gives the storyline emotional weight, but the real turning point may come if he experiences the same symptoms after taking those pills himself. The moment that happens, everything changes. The theory becomes real. Holly is no longer left questioning her own mind, and Tate is no longer just trying to comfort her. They may both realize that someone intentionally caused this. And once Holly's bloodwork confirms antipsychotic medication, the picture becomes even darker. Because then the issue is not simply that Holly got sick. It is that someone may have wanted her to appear unstable, irrational, and mentally unwell. That raises the stakes dramatically. This was not just sabotage. It may have been an attempt to destroy Holly's credibility, isolate her from the people around her, and make her doubt herself at the exact moment she needed clarity the most. She had access, she had motive, and she may have had the patience to build a plan slowly enough that Holly would never see it coming. But what makes this mystery even stronger is that it may not end with Holly as the only victim. Rachel may be part of this too. If Holly remembers that first dropped pill bottle from Bayview, and Tate starts connecting the dots, then Rachel's role in all of this could become one of the saddest parts of the story. She may not have knowingly helped hurt Holly. She may have been manipulated, used, and drawn into Sophia's scheme without understanding the full damage she was helping cause. And if that truth comes out right after Rachel's court crisis, the fallout could be enormous. That is why this storyline works so well. It is not just a mystery about who did it. It is a slow, painful unraveling of how one cruel act may have emotionally damaged multiple people at once. Next, we have Philip and Gabby, and although this storyline is softer than the others on the surface, it still carries real emotional danger. Philip letting "I love you" slip is a major moment, because in a soap, words like that are never casual. The second they are spoken, the relationship changes. What was once flirtation or growing connection suddenly becomes something much more serious. That is why Gabby being caught off guard feels so believable. She understands that once those words are out, there is no going back to something light or undefined. And yes, if Gabby says she loves him too, that gives the moment real emotional payoff. But it also raises a bigger question. Is this relationship growing from genuine strength, or from emotional vulnerability? Sometimes in Salem, two people can sincerely care about each other and still be building something unstable. If Gabby is leaning into Philip during a moment of emotional fragility, then the feelings may be honest, but the timing may still be wrong. Love declared in the middle of chaos can feel powerful in the moment, yet still crack later when reality puts pressure on it. There is warmth here, there is sincerity, there is clearly something real developing between them. But there is also the sense that this romance may be moving faster than either of them is emotionally prepared for. And on a soap, that kind of rushed intensity often creates the very heartbreak it seems to protect against. So this may be a beautiful step forward for Philip and Gabby. But it may also be the moment that quietly sets up a much bigger emotional fall. Meanwhile, Stephanie's recovery may bring a new emotional complication, and this one could hit Alex much harder than expected. Jeremy visiting Stephanie in the hospital seems innocent enough on the surface. After everything Stephanie has been through, it makes sense that she would want to thank the person who helped her survive such a terrifying ordeal. And if she admits she could not have gotten through that kidnapping nightmare without him, that would be a deeply emotional statement, but also a believable one. Still, in Salem, emotional honesty can become dangerous very quickly when the wrong person overhears it. Because he may not hear the moment the way Stephanie intends it. He may not hear gratitude. He may hear emotional intimacy. He may hear the kind of deep connection that forms only when two people go through trauma together. And that kind of bond can feel threatening even when nothing romantic is actually happening. Alex's jealousy may have less to do with Jeremy as a romantic rival and more to do with feeling shut out of something deeply personal. Stephanie may now share a painful, life-altering experience with Jeremy that Alex cannot fully understand, and that could leave him feeling powerless, insecure, and emotionally disconnected at exactly the wrong time. And once insecurity starts shaping the way Alex sees that conversation, the damage could spread fast. Stephanie may simply be expressing sincere gratitude. Jeremy may not be trying to reclaim any place in her life. But if Alex starts interpreting that moment as proof that Stephanie still has an emotional tie to her ex, then the fallout may come from perception, not reality. That is why this quiet hospital scene could matter more than it first appears. It may not explode immediately, but it has all the ingredients for a misunderstanding that slowly turns into a much bigger emotional fracture. Finally, we have what may be the biggest shock of the entire week: Johnny and Chanel's adoption of Trey suddenly being thrown into jeopardy. At first, this moment should represent hope. Johnny and Chanel are there with Trey, ready to make him part of their forever family, and everything about the scene should feel like the emotional payoff they have been waiting for. After all the uncertainty, this should be the moment where their future finally becomes real. But the entire tone changes the second Melinda stops the process. The moment she says the adoption cannot be finalized until the judge hears from one last person, the joy drains out of the room. What should have been a celebration instantly becomes a threat. And once it becomes clear that Sophia is the one about to step forward, the situation stops feeling procedural and starts feeling deeply dangerous. Because Sophia showing up at the last possible second is not just dramatic timing. It is a move, a calculated one. If she walks in now, just when Johnny and Chanel believe they are seconds away from making Trey officially theirs, then this may be less about love and more about control. Sophia may be choosing the one moment that gives her maximum power, maximum disruption, and maximum emotional impact. She may not be acting because she suddenly found her voice or had a pure change of heart. She may be acting because she cannot stand the idea of losing her grip on the situation. Once the adoption is finalized, Johnny and Chanel gain stability, security, and legal power. Sophia, on the other hand, loses leverage. She loses influence. She loses the ability to interfere whenever it suits her. And that may be exactly what she cannot accept. If that is the case, then this is not a brave last-minute stand. It is a desperate attempt to stop the story from moving forward without her. And desperation makes characters especially dangerous, because desperate people do not always care how much damage they cause as long as they keep control a little longer. Not just because Sophia may object, but because they may have no idea what she is prepared to say, reveal, or threaten in order to stop this adoption from going through. And if this courtroom disruption happens while suspicion is also growing around Sophia's role in Holly's pill ordeal, then the pressure surrounding her could become explosive from every angle. Which means this may not be just one last-minute twist. It may be the beginning of total emotional collapse. So by the end of this week, Salem may be left with several lives hanging in the balance. Rachel may be emotionally shattered by the judge's ruling. Holly and Tate may finally uncover the ugly truth behind Sophia's scheme. Philip and Gabby may be stepping into a love story that feels as risky as it does romantic. Alex may be facing new jealousy over Stephanie and Jeremy. And Johnny and Chanel's dream of becoming Trey's forever family may be blown apart just when it seemed within reach. And that is why this preview feels so strong. Not because every moment is loud, but because every storyline feels one step away from exploding.